Hey guys, we got a beautiful day here today, and Tracy Martera is going on. We got a beautiful wind here, beautiful breeze. It's a cool breeze from down below here too, so it blows up all the cool air that's down in the canyon down here, where all the ferns are and everything, and it keeps it like about 10 degrees cooler where we are. Anybody that comes to my area here knows that we get these really exceptionally cool days, and sometimes it's like in the low 80s or even into the high 70s sometimes. It gets really nice around here, and it's a beautiful feel that you get during the breezy days here. But today I want to talk about two emergencies that happened, and one of them happened on Easter, and the other one happened yesterday. Well, actually, they happened in both days, kind of. It's both of them were kind of like a tragic story. And I want people to be clear that I'm not looking for money. I'm not looking for donations when I say this. This is all going to be taken care of, all this stuff that I'm about to talk about. The first thing that happened was we have Pax, and Pax is one of my closest friends here. Pax is my best friend. He's my sidekick, my other half for helping me out to get things done, and my girlfriend also is my other half sometimes when I need things from her too, and both of them help me out a lot. So I owe Pax to help him, and we are going to try to help him with his bills and stuff like that. So I don't need any help from anybody else or anything. So I just want that clear. So you didn't have to offer, but thank you if you were going to offer. But anyway, I want to talk about this because he had a baby boy on Easter Sunday, and the baby was born with sepsis and pneumonia, and his lungs were all clogged up. And the other day we took the baby to the doctor, and the doctor said take him to the emergency room, and then the baby ended up going to the emergency room into ICU, and they put tubes down inside of him to clear out the lungs and everything. And also because of the sepsis, they had to give him medication for the sepsis, and the child's color started coming back. When I seen him on the way to the doctors, the baby was like kind of like a bluish gray color because he wasn't getting enough oxygen or anything like that. So he went into the hospital, and he's still in the hospital now. But during this time, my boy Cedric was out in the yard here playing, and being a boy, he's always into something here, and he's always getting into trouble here. He always does something stupid or whatever. He's known for always getting into accidents or something, and we're always watching him. And he was actually right next to me when he fell. He was standing on top of a log. He went down, and he almost broke his hip. But instead of breaking his hip, he broke his arm, okay? And between his elbow and his hand, it was broken on his right hand. So it snapped in half. And when I picked him up off the ground, I was looking at his arm. I said, man, that doesn't look too good. So we had to take him out to the hospital. So first place we took him was one of the places down the street to Health Med, I think it's called, and we went there. They couldn't take him right away. They says this is for the emergency room. Go take him someplace else. We took him to Santiago Hospital here in Tracy Martires. They took him in. They did X-rays. They says it's a really bad break. You got to take him to a orthopedic doctor or whatever. And we were like, oh, okay. So they gave him a sling. His arm was in the sling, but he had to get a cast. So we kept running around to all these different hospitals yesterday. We went to like 3 hospitals, and none of them could treat him because they didn't have any doctor that could help set his arm and get it all set. So we had to stay the night with the arm the way it was. So he slept last night, and then this morning we got up and we went to Gentry Medical Center over in General Trias, which, something, I always had this feeling about the hospital that wasn't really a good hospital, but from the outside it doesn't look like much. I'll just say that. It doesn't look like a nice hospital on the outside. When I was in there, I was actually pleasantly surprised to see that it was a top-notch medical facility, and it was really decent. And I was surprised. And one of the things I know about that hospital is that they also accept Pacific Cross. And I noticed that they were a little bit expensive for their doctors. I noticed doctors are starting to go up on their prices over here. And I wanted to let you guys know that. So to see the doctor to set the arm in the cast, it cost us $5,000 just to see him. Okay, so it's $100. Now over here, that's expensive to see a doctor. It's very expensive to pay, 5,000 over here for a doctor. And I wanted to throw that out, but it wasn't just for that. We also had to buy the cast material, which cost like 1,700 pesos. Okay, so it was about $100 to see the doctor, and it was almost 40 for the cast and stuff. So that wasn't too bad for that. Now, I want to talk a little bit about Pax's problem. What's going on with the baby there? The baby is, I think they charge like 11,000 pesos a day, plus all the other costs for all the things that are incurred, like to see if the doctor checks up on the baby, they mark that down. That's a big fee because it's usually a specialist or whatever. So I mean, with all that said, I just want to throw that out there that this has been an expensive 2 days, both for me and for Pax. And Pax isn't even done yet. He's not out of the dark yet on this here. The baby is getting better. It's going to cost a lot more money, and we're gonna have to probably help bail him out or whatever and help him out, and I'm sure his family's helping him out too. But there's a lot of things going on here, and fortunately, with Cedric has to go back in another month, and it'll cost 5,000 to see the doctor. And then whatever it costs for the X-rays, probably 1,000 or 2,000 or whatever for the X-rays. And then they have to do another cast again, which is going to cost like another 1,700 pesos or whatever. That's another $40 or whatever. So it gets expensive over here when you have a accident over here. So a lot of people that are still talking about these I hate to talk about this, but the lower budgets, but this is what you deal with when you get, if a tragedy happens and you get sick or whatever. It's not that cheap over here like it was, say, like a year or two ago. I do notice the prices on doctors are coming up. I do notice that healthcare costs are starting to go up. I do notice that things are starting to, get more expensive. I notice meds are expensive. I spent about $400 for all my meds for this past month. Okay, because of skin issues that I have, and some of those topical skin ointments are very expensive. They're 40 or 80 bucks for just a small tube of the stuff that I need. And also for the medicines that I take internally for some of the things that I take, very expensive. Metformin over here is expensive. All that stuff is extremely, metformin is like one of the cheaper medicines, but for, it's still, it costs you a lot when you have all these other medications. That's one of the lower priced ones, and it's probably the best deal around here. It's probably cheaper here than in the US. But I will say this, that the other specialty medicines do cost me a lot of money. And my girlfriend, she needs about $150 a month in medications too. So I mean, when you guys do your budgets, make sure you have all this stuff in your budget, because a lot of insurances aren't going to cover these prescriptions. And if they do have to cover those prescriptions, don't forget, this is what's going to happen. If they cover you, then your next year is going to be a hell of a lot higher for your insurance if they're covering all your meds. So you have to think about whether you want to have those meds in that insurance plan. And some people do want to have that. Now, I understand there's a lot of people, when they go to retire, all they have is $1,000 for their retirement. All they have is $1,500 for their retirement. All they have is $2,000 for their retirement. I get that, I mean, some people, they and I'm not putting them down. I'm just saying that's the way it is. That's the way the ball bounces. Life can change it. I've been through many life changes where you go through a divorce and your wife takes half your money away, and you have to reset and start all over again and start saving. And it can be rough because it kills your retirement. By the time you get to retirement, you're there, and it's like, man, how am I going to live on $1,250? How am I going to live on $1,500? How am I going to live on $800? It's hard. And for some of us, that means waiting longer to maybe 65 or 67 to retire so you can get that extra money. And some people can't because they're so sick or what have you. But I just want people to understand that over here, if you do get involved with a family over here, and most guys over here are going to come over here and they're going to have a girlfriend or they're going to have a wife, you're going to find yourself looking after family a little bit, because you get very close and you love those people. And for me, I love the people that are in my family. I love my neighbor. I mean, I love my neighbors a lot because they're like my family. Pax is like my brother, his wife is like my sister, and his kids are like my grandchildren practically. And you want to help those people out sometimes. Because it's just the way things should be sometimes. If they're your family, you take care of them, you look out for them. And I know a lot of people have a different thought on that, and I disagree with those people strongly on that. That just take care of yourself. No, you really need to look out for your family. If your girlfriend gets sick, you're going to look out for her. I hope you would, or your wife or what have you. And a lot of people, they just won't do that. They say no way I'm going to pay for anybody in my girlfriend's family or whatever. It's just something you do. It can be costly, and some things you can't. If you can't afford it, obviously you can't. I get that, because you need to look out for yourself as number one too. But it has to be like a meeting point in there where like half and half. If you can't afford to look out for these people, then obviously you can't. I get that if you don't have those finances. But if you do have the wherewithal, you should help. I mean, I help. And I'm not telling people how to spend their money or whatever. It's just, I think it's the right thing to do. I mean, if nobody took care of my little boy, then, we adopted him. I mean, God help the poor kid if he had to go to a public hospital because his arm would probably be messed up for the rest of his life. And that's kind of what we have to deal with over here. You have to have a conscience, too. And if that boy didn't go out and get help today, then he'd be in trouble for the rest of his life. And, some people can live with that. I can't, and I see some of the expats over here complain. I see it in some of my comments sometimes, about looking out for anybody else but themselves. And that's a sad American trait with some people. I think most Americans have a heart, from what the people that I see come into our community and stuff like that. The majority of expats have a big heart here. And, I like to see that, to see my fellow Americans that have the heart. But the ones that don't, man, wow. But anyway, guys, I just want to throw that out there today because I thought it'd be an interesting vlog. I think that everybody needs to take a look at their health care before coming over here for sure. But anyway, guys, God bless. Take care.